So now let us go deep into the aspects of gradient descent. So gradient descent is an optimization algorithm which is mainly used to find the minimum of the function. Let us turn our attention towards the diagram that I have shown here on your right bottom. So from this you will be able to understand what is meant by gradient descent and what is the ultimate objective of applying this gradient descent. So here as you look into this graph, you will be able to understand in the x-axis you have a notation W, let us take to be weight. And in the y-axis, you have got a function called cost function, which is denoted by J of W. So as you look into this diagram, there is a kind of curve, right? So this curve, it starts from a left end and then it comes down and again goes up. So as you look into this, because the cost function it tends to decrease, it reaches the global minimum point at W and then it just ascends, right? It ascends and then goes up. So now at this point, we stop and try to see how the training should be modified in order to reach the best cost out of this process. So what is the global best cost? It is W. As you could see in the graph, as it is given as global cost minimum, which is denoted by J min of W. So now let us assume the model is at the point that is on the right top end point. So now we have to make the model to descend down and to reach the point W where the cost is minimum. So now you have to start working on modifying the weight. We have to update the values of weight. In addition to that, we must be able to like come down, that is in terms of the hops. In terms of half. So now we are going to modify the incremental steps. That is how we are going to update the weights as well as how are we going to let the algorithm to descend down. So the kind of value that you give, the kind of scale that you use for incrementing uh, completely depends on the nature of the problem and the behavior of the model. So here as you look into this, so this big dot is the initial weight. It starts coming down. The arrowhead shows that the gradient descends. So here you could see a tangent as we discussed in the previous slide. So there is a tangent. This is the gradient. So this should be taken as a reference point as it descends down. So hope it is clear to you. So now I'll come again with the first point. The gradient descent is an optimization algorithm which is mainly used to find the minimum of the function. So if you take the cost function, it is going to give you information about what is the minimum point with which we can manage the model for best optimal solution. So in machine learning, gradient descent is used to optimize the parameter in the model, and parameters can vary according to the algorithm. As I told you about the coefficient of linear regression, uh, about the weights of neural network that we will be discussing tomorrow. So here, when you talk about linear, I hope you will be able to remember the equation that we discussed, which is y is equal to ax plus c, where b ax plus b, y is equal to ax plus b. So this a stands for coefficient of x and b stands for the intercept. So now as you learned, and we have to optimize the value of a and b so that the prediction on y will be the best. So now when you talk about optimization with respect to linear regression, we have to focus on optimizing the coefficients. But if you want to optimize the neural network based model, then we have to focus on the weights that we assign for the input parameters. And tomorrow's session will be able to give you better insight into what is meant by neural network and what is the significance of weights in the neural network model. So now the inclined and or irregular is the cost function. So when we try to plot the cost function, it is going to be of irregular shape. And the role of the gradient descent is to provide the direction and the velocity. Hope you understand. So as we talk about the direction, it can be upward or downward. So when you talk about the velocity, the speed in which it has to descend down, that is the learning rate of the movement in order to attain the minimum of the function where the cost is minimum. So it is interestingly, it is shown in the diagram. We start at a point that is tangential point. You draw a tangent, and then from that point, you start descending down instead of starting from the uppermost point or topmost point. So let's go to the next slide. So this is about different types of gradient descent algorithm. So let me not overload you by getting into the details of all these things. So once you know what is meant by gradient descent, probably the literature survey that you can do on these kind of types will make you understand which kind of gradient descent will be appropriate for your problem solving approach. So I'll just highlight the types, and there are many more. I have just taken 3 for your understanding. So the first one is batch gradient descent, the third one is stochastic gradient descent, and the third one is mini batch gradient descent. So each one has its own features, and it's not that I can apply any one of this for any one kind of problem. So I have to first of all study what is the role of each of this gradient, what is the purpose of batch gradient, what is the purpose of stochastic, what is the purpose of mini batch. So we go. So now let us go to the next one, the ensemble learning. So this slide speaks about what is meant by ensemble learning. So already we have learned about 2 types of learners. One is lazy learner, other one is eager learner. So now we try to work on these kind of learners. So when the learning process takes place, there should be a provision for us to improve the performance by looking into the previous models which were evolved. So what I mean to say is, whenever we are working on a model, for each and every kind of step that you do, it is going to give you a model for classification, for prediction, or for regression. So now again we try to modify with respect to the optimization process or gradient descent process. So that is going to give you an the aggregate value, and then we try to find the average of that, so that the combination of all the models that you have in hand is expected to give you better results. So hope I'm not confusing you at this point of time. Probably in the next slide I'll be able to tell, and we have few more points to do in the slide. So let me finish with the slide first. So ensemble method aims to improve the predictive performance of a given statistical learning or model fitting technique. So an ensemble is itself a supervised learning algorithm because it can be trained and then used for making predictions. So ensemble is, you can imagine this as a kind of aggregation of models, or it can be taken as sequentially connecting similar models so that you get a better result. So when you try to predict the target variable by using a machine learning technique, the main cause of difference is actual and predicted values. So now there is going to be a difference between actual value and the predicted value. So the reasons can be like it may be due to noise or variance or bias. So we use this variance and bias as a reference points using which we can try to improve the performance of the model, where an ensemble is going to help us in a greater sense. So ensemble helps us to reduce the factors such as variance and bias. So this is again another strategy or another approach with the support of which we will be able to come with a new model. Right? So what is the principle of this? To construct a linear combination of some model fitting method instead of using a single fit. So instead of going for a single fit, you are going to have a fits, and then you try to modify them, and according to that, we will be able to manage the best solution, or arrive at a best solution. Suppose if we have a group of weak learners, they come together to form a strong learner and thus increasing the accuracy of the model. That is by combining the decisions from the models for the overall, right? And so suppose when we talk about this kind of ensembling, the next diagram will be able to tell you what is meant by this ensemble. So this ensemble is of 2 categories. One is called bagging, the other one is called boosting. So so I think this slide, this ensemble learning, we are at the next slide, right? So previously we discussed about what is meant by ensemble. So now this slide will make you understand what is meant by ensemble learning process. So here there are 2 methods. One is bagging, the other one is boosting. So this bagging is actually an acronym which stands for bootstrap aggregation. So here the example is random forest. So I can explain you what is meant by this with respect to decision tree. You know what is meant by a decision tree. So here you take a best predictor and then try to construct a tree, and that will help you for classification. So in such cases, suppose when you have the possibility of going for constructing multiple decision trees with respect to different combination of best predictors out of the parameters, then what we do is we try to get the average value of all these kind of decision trees, which we form a random forest, and then we try to get the best solution out of it. So we have a model and we try with different combination of parameters of that particular model. Then you arrive at the average, and this is what we call as bagging. About this boosting, so you have a model. Let us talk about linear regression. So the linear regression, they have come with one fit of the model with respect to the value of A as well as B. Suppose if there is an error factor, then you try to, go further and then try to fit another model. And again, you go to the third step if you still want to work on A and B in terms of optimizing the solution for a linear regression model. So what happens, you have fit 1, fit 2, fit 3, fit 4. So you're going to apply this in a sequential manner linearly, and then you're going to get the best solution, because at every point of time we try to boost the value, and hence this is called as boosting. So hope you understand what is meant by bagging and what is meant by boosting. So this may help you when you try to improve upon the model beyond your development. So here, what are the features of this? As you talk about bagging, it handles overfitting. You'll be able to manage overfitting well, and then it reduces the variance. As we discussed in the last class, what is meant by variance? Then it can incorporate independent classifier. It is not that, suppose if I want to work with bagging, I can get one result out of decision tree. I can get one result out of, for instance, Naive classifier. I can combine them together, provided each of this model is ideally suitable for the problem that we are discussing. So then what are the benefits of boosting? It can also help you to handle can overfit, and then it can lead to overfit, because we make the model to learn again and again. So the model will get so familiar with the data, and that can cause overfitting. At the same time, it may help you to reduce the appreciate. What do you mean by bagging and what do you mean by boosting? So based upon our requirement, as I said, for all the model selection, as well as based upon the experience that you get out the performance of the model, we have to go for bagging or boosting. Now, what are the features of bagging? It is very ideal to handle overfitting, and then it helps us to reduce variance, as well as we can go for bagging of independent classifier. Like you can use the models independently, and then we can try to apply them for getting the best result. So as I told you, bagging stands for bootstrap aggregation. So you try to get the results of different models and then try to combine them, so you're able to get the best optimal solution. So as we talk about the features of boosting, so this can help us to reduce the bias as well as variance. At the same time, it can also lead to overfitting. So what is the reason for getting into overfitting as we talk about boosting? So as we go for rigorous training, as we go for repetitive training, so the model tries to understand the entire features of the data set that you have in your hand. So it becomes easy for the model to make the predictions, like from the input to output pattern, instead of going for deciding based on the trend it has learned of the data. So here you can have a sequential classifier. So this is like, suppose if you're going to work with linear regression, so you have fit 1 of linear regression, fit 2 of linear regression, the optimal values of A and B, right? Let them be, say, X1, let us take those values to be A1, B1. So then you try to optimize it further. Then you have for the linear regression, A2, B2 as the best solution. Then for the next one, A3, B3. So now we are going to combine them sequentially as the model with A1, B1, followed by the model with A2, B2, followed by the model with A3, B3. So in such cases, it is going to be sequential because the training is very rigorous. It leads to overfitting. So now let us move on to the next slide that speaks about the takeaway points of the session. So far we have discussed what is the purpose of support vector machine, then Naive classifier, then KNN. Yes. Hello.
Ma'am.
சொல்லுங்கப்பா.
Ma'am, நான் இன்ஃபார்ம். Ma'am, நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க ma'am.
Okay. So I think we are towards the fag end of the session. So let us conclude with the takeaway points. So we have discussed on the mechanics of support vector machine, Naive classifier, and KNN. We also discussed what are the merits, demerits, and the application domains of these approaches. And now you will be able to understand the difference between what is supervised learning and what is unsupervised learning, because it was explained well with respect to KNN. Then you also know what you mean by lazy learner as well as eager learner. So now you must have understood that this bagging and boosting will help us to stabilize the balance between, to stabilize the lazy learners, as well as we will be able to make the eager learner to be a little slow in the process of learning. So in the sense that if it is a lazy learner, we must try to boost the process of learning. So that may lead to a better kind of learning process. So ultimately, this bagging and boosting is being used to strike a balance between lazy learning and eager learning. At the same time, you can promote the lazy learners to be eager learners, and then you may try to bring in a kind of stability in the process of problem solving with respect to these models. Then the role and importance of optimization in the machine learning models. We discussed about what is meant by optimization. We also discussed about what is meant by first order optimization and second order optimization and the illustrations for that. Then we also discussed about what is gradient descent and what is its role in optimization. So then we also discussed about ensemble model. In ensemble model, there are two major approaches. One is bagging and the other one is boosting. What is meant by bagging and what is meant by boosting, we have learned. So I think this marks the end of this session, and probably we have to, I request you all to go through the PowerPoint all over again and just get the points understood. And I'm expecting you to come back with good learning about the previous 3 sessions so that we can enter into an entirely new kind of approach or neural network tomorrow in session 4. So all of you take care. Bye.